Fast-moving developments in the Bowling Green courtroom of the Crystal Rogers trial. The prosecution rests its case. And hello, everyone. I'm Connie Leonard.
And I'm Doug Proffitt. And then it got very emotional in the courtroom today. The defense asking the judge to give them a directed verdict instead of the jury giving a verdict. The judge denied that, but then added that there is certainly proof of Crystal Rogers' death. Some of the other top headlines coming out of the courtroom today: the stepmother and grandmother of Joseph Lawson taking the stand. Lawson's stepmother claiming she overheard Lawson and Steve Lawson fighting, and Joseph threatening to let everybody know about the car and his father's involvement.
Joseph's grandmother testified he told her Steve killed Crystal Rogers. She described the father and son having a love-hate relationship. Also today, cadaver dogs were used to investigate and react to the white Buick that was owned by Brooks Houck's grandmother.
Well, we certainly have a lot to go over right now with our Shay McAllister as the prosecution has rested the case. And Shay, can you tell us more about that courtroom reaction when the judge spoke from the bench, really touching the spectators as he spoke about Crystal Rogers?
I think what really stood out to him there, Doug and Connie, was everyone was hearing him go point by point on what stood out to him in the case, what he believes to be enough evidence that Crystal Rogers is dead, and he believed there to be enough evidence for a jury to possibly convict in this case. That's what it means when he denies the directed verdict. And he listed off every single thing that stood out, including what he said were the key pieces of evidence in this case. Crystal's hair possibly being found in the trunk of Anna Whiteside's car was one of those items. And what we learned about that today is we actually heard from the canine handler for the cadaver dog that searched that lot and ended up alerting on the rear side of the white Buick. We learned that when that cadaver dog and its owner entered the lot, they had no idea what they were looking for. If they were looking for a car, a building, an item in the parking lot, and the dog just happened to end up at the back of that white Buick and alerted. He's taught to sit when he finds something, and he sat right next to the car.
And Shay, cell phone records have also played a major role. Today, an expert shared evidence from Crystal's phone. Was that something you hadn't heard before?
This was the first time we've heard this particular piece of evidence, because this wasn't about cell phone towers or geographical locations. Instead, this was about usage. And what this expert was able to spell out for us is how Crystal was using her phone between 7:30 and 9:30. And that was on Facebook and on games. It kind of flips back and forth between the Facebook app and games. At 9:30, the phone dies. The battery shuts off. It then turns back on around 11:57. This is all on July 3rd, 2015, the night she vanished. The phone turns back on 11:57 p.m. only for a few seconds before it is manually shut off. And it doesn't turn back on again until July the 6th when police get involved. This was such an important piece of testimony today because it directly contradicts Brooks Houck's timeline of events when he gets home from the Houck family farm. He says that Crystal was on the couch playing games on her phone. This evidence proves that that could not have been true.
I agree with you, Shay, and certainly some of one of the most, really the eeriest pieces of evidence, possibly taking it right down to her last seconds alive. Well, you know, one of the last searches we knew about in this case was December of 2023 on Thompson Hill Road. We don't know what the FBI found during that search, but today you heard from a neighbor in that area who says he saw something really unusual.
And this is the first time we've talked to anybody or heard from anybody who lives in that Thompson Hill area. Of course, we didn't even know that this was an area of interest until December of 2023 during that search. He talked about how he remembers that search. He was there for it. He saw all the FBI vehicles. He also talked about the weekend of July 3rd and July 4th and what stood out to him. He said that this Thompson Hill farm property was almost like an illegal junkyard. They were always burning and burying couches and mattress frames, different pieces of trash that people would pay them to collect out of apartments. Well, on that particular weekend, that July 3rd, July 4th, they were digging on the opposite side of the road from where they typically are, and they were using heavy machinery that typically wasn't over there. He called it very unusual. He said they have this junkyard over here where they do all of the digging and burning. Why were they doing it over here this one time? He also said the fact that they were doing it late at night and early in the morning stood out to him. Doug and Connie?
Shay, thank you very much giving us the latest out of that courtroom. A lot happening today, and in just a few minutes at 5:30, WHAS 11 News legal analyst Nick Mudd is going to be with us, joining us to talk about the prosecution's sudden move to rest its case, what it means for the rest of the trial this week, and the judge's comment from the bench. Plus, at 9 tonight, I'll be back with Nick, Shay, and Alexandra on WHAS 11 Plus as we give you a 30-minute wrap-up. Download for free and then watch on your TV.
And also tonight, we are following the fast-moving developments in Washington as President Trump's self-titled Big Beautiful Bill has passed the U.S. Senate.
Vice President J.D. Vance making the deciding vote, breaking a 50-50 tie. Here's some of the top things you need to know about the bill as it passed the Senate, now going off to the House, including $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. It includes $50 billion for a new rural hospital fund. Now, that's an increase of money instead of what was thought to have been going to be a cut. And again, they increased money for it instead of cutting it.
The Senate bill also carries $1.2 trillion in cuts to Medicaid and food stamps by imposing work requirements on able-bodied people, including some parents and older Americans. Signing up for the programs is also becoming stricter.
Are you saying that the estimated 11.8 million people who could lose their health coverage, that is all waste, fraud, and abuse?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's going to be a very much smaller number than that, and that number will be waste, fraud, and abuse.
The House will need to vote on the Senate's version of the bill. The House is set to begin debating sometime tomorrow morning.
Louisville Congressman Morgan McGarvey has been holding town hall meetings talking about the possible cuts. Today, he came around strongly against the bill as it heads to the House. Morgan McGarvey serves as Chief Deputy Whip. His team says he returned to Washington a day early in hopes of convincing more people to vote against the budget bill. Now, in a statement, McGarvey saying in part, "I'm doing everything I can to kill this bill, including having tough conversations with my Republican colleagues who still have the opportunity to stand up for their constituents and vote no on this harmful bill." That's from Morgan McGarvey today.
Meanwhile, Senator Mitch McConnell voiced his support for the bill's passage. He said in part the American people sent President Trump and Republican majorities to Washington with a clear mandate: secure the border, restore peace through strength and American energy dominance, and give working families and small businesses relief from the Biden economy. McConnell said today's vote is a step toward fulfilling that.
Governor Andy Beshear also posting in part saying with the passage of the big ugly bill, the U.S. Senate said it was okay to fire 20,000 Kentucky healthcare workers, close 35 rural hospitals in our state, and throw over 200,000 of our people off insurance.
You are not allowed to drink on the streets. You're not allowed to drink on the sidewalks in Louisville when you're on public property. You are not allowed to block traffic whether you're drinking or not. And so LMPD and others, we will be taking action to enforce that so everyone can enjoy themselves safely in Nulu and every other neighborhood.
Mayor Craig Greenberg, in response to the on-street disturbances surrounding Nulu and Bardstown Road, he says he'll be meeting with business owners tomorrow in Louisville, alongside the chief of police and alcohol beverage control.
Joining us live now, the Deputy Police Chief for the Louisville Metro Police Department is Emily McKinley. Chief McKinley, thank you for coming in. Can you tell us what really happened in Nulu over the weekend? It didn't turn into a full-blown street takeover, but you all were getting word that something could happen.
Right. You know, I think this was just a lot of people that were looking to have a good time that night and enjoy themselves and enjoy Nulu. There's a lot of good activities and good businesses to visit and bars and restaurants to visit and patronize down there. And I think we had a lot of people that trying to do that, and we saw it kind of spilling out into the street, and then there was kind of a construction area that kind of cordoned off where they were gathering in that construction area. But what we want is people to still have a good time. We want people to go out and enjoy themselves, but we can't have people drinking on the sidewalk. We can't have people bringing their own alcohol and setting up and drinking on sidewalks and blocking sidewalks. And so really that's what we are focused on. You'll see this weekend and subsequent weekends over the summer, police officers walking up and down the Nulu area, up and down Bardstown Road, trying to make sure that we're preventing people from gathering and drinking on sidewalks before it becomes a larger problem. You know, I know we've used the word street takeovers, or people have used the word street takeovers. I do not believe that any of the people that were there or were trying to take over the street. There wasn't an intention to try to cause a problem. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of people in a small area.
Do you think this is the same group of people that keep popping up overnight that we're seeing on a lot of these videos that are coming around?
You know, there's no information that it's the same group of people. I don't think there's a group of people going around with the intent to do this or cause problems.
Okay.
It's just people want to go out and have a good time, and we need to make sure that we do it in a safe way.
So you've had a massive force, a large force in the Highlands along Baxter Avenue for several weeks now. You've got a big holiday weekend coming, I know, because you've got a lot of people at Waterfront Park too as well. The mayor said today in that news conference that you all will beef up your presence in Nulu. How are you going to do that with also looking ahead to Baxter Avenue?
Right. We have a detailed plan. So we have there will be officers that are detailed down to Waterfront Park. So you'll see some of our officers down there, and I encourage everybody to go down and enjoy the festivities down at Waterfront Park. Say hello to our officers when you see them. And we do have other officers that will be stationed and detailed to the Nulu area and to the Bardstown Road area. So you know, we're ready to be out there and having a good time with the community as well.
Because you're going to be dealing with vacations, I'm sure. I mean, how are you going to keep an eye on both Nulu and Baxter Avenue?
We have the officers and they're ready to do it. They're committed to our community, they're committed to their job, and they enjoy and they love interacting with our community.
Do you have officers that are monitoring social media? Because it seems like these groups are figuring out, talking to each other somewhere to have hundreds gathering in, you know, one area.
We do. So we have our real-time crime center. So we have strategic analysts. So that's their job, is to keep up with any activity on social media. So they communicate that to our officers and to our intelligence officers, and so we can make strategic plans.
You also had, going back to the mayor's budget that just passed, you all had some victories with the police department there, including this unique drone program. How does that work? Is that something to keep officers safe, where you can actually fly drones into a dangerous area first to get the layout? Is that how this would work?
All right, so first, we're really thankful for the Mayor Greenberg's proposal to Metro Council regarding the budget, and really thankful for the council's support in approving that budget. But yes, our first responder drone program is included in that budget. Metro Safe will be in charge of leading that program. But yes, it will help give officers real-time information as they're responding to scenes, as well as our firefighters and EMS personnel when they're responding to critical incidents.
And being able to hire more officers, certainly, that's got to help.
Absolutely, and we encourage anybody who's interested, lmpdjobs.com. Our next class is in October. You're still able to apply today and get into that October class.
You got more money from the Metro Council to, make a bigger recruiting class? Is that how that's going to work?
Right, so we can hire upwards of 3 classes a year, and so we do continue to have that support from Metro Council in our budget for those recruits.
All right, Deputy Chief Emily McKinley, thank you very much. We
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
the information about this coming weekend.